Hi everybody, welcome to my first little talk, and we're going to be delving into why Mothwing definitely knows StarClan exists despite being described as an atheist, and how she can still conceptually be considered an atheist despite this. I want to start this conversation off by just talking about what atheism is exactly. Atheism is defined as a rejection of the existence of a god and or gods, and atheist.org cites it as something that's not necessarily a belief or disbelief system, and simply a lack of belief. This sounds contradictory and weird, but kind of rightfully so, because when you think of atheist and atheism, it's easy to imagine those people who just kind of sneer people who believe in ghosts and spirits, and tell people that when they die, they're gonna just go into the dirt and become nothing, and they just don't believe in anything. But we know that's not the case for most identifying atheists or people who could be described as having a religious belief that exists on the atheism spectrum. The likelihood is that many of you watching this right now were either raised in religious environments and homes, or were at least surrounded by people who were religious. So whether or not we abandoned that faith, held strong to it, disregarded it entirely, or were even unsure, the experience with religion varies from person to person. There's not many ways to describe religion in terms of identity that we know of, because we were taught that you have to have 100% faith, or that if you were even a little bit unsure, you might as well be an atheist. The middle ground is agnosticism, but again, it's kind of on the atheism spectrum, and agnostic beliefs kind of fall in line with what atheist.org described. And I say all this to say that people kind of unfairly do this black and white thought process to Mothwing, despite knowing that the balance of faith versus no faith is capable of existing in a gray area, and is very dependent on one's path to self-peace and self-comfort. In the Warriors universe, where religion and StarClan is sort of an undeniable existence as of recent, it's easy to look at the 2 or 3 characters who don't believe and just say they're idiots. But it's not correct. We can sort of figure this out by comparing Mothwing and Cloudtail, the 2 main atheists of the series. Cloudtail has a different form of atheism than Mothwing. Cloudtail's position in the clan gives him no interaction with StarClan whatsoever. He has no involvement with the prophecies outside his granddaughter's existence, and he has lost no one of value to him within the recent series to have visited him during the Great Battle. Firestar was his mentor, Brightheart his mate and his kids, and his children's children. They were all fine during that time period. So anyone else during the Great Battle could very easily look like random cats to him, because he doesn't grasp the concept of spiritual Passover in the first place, and cats only have so many ways they can look in a mass. It totally makes sense for Cloudtail to still be an atheist, honestly, especially if we assume he only fought like the Dark Forest trainees. We didn't really see him involved. And honestly, we kind of assume the characters look like ghosts through artwork. I don't think that when the Dark Forest cats rose from literal hell, they looked like ghosts. I don't think the StarClan cats looked like ghosts. I think they looked physical. And I think it was very easy for Cloudtail to just see them as a bunch of random cats. It totally makes sense. But for Mothwing, yeah, I think argument-wise it should be unreasonable. Mothwing hears prophecies through Leafpool. Her job entitles her to be at least close or interactive with StarClan in some capacity. Her apprentice and Leafpool's apprentice, Jayfeather, all relay messages to Mothwing, and she knows that they can predict the future. And when Misty Star became leader, the minute Misty Star hadn't seen Mothwing at her ceremony, Mothwing reacted accordingly. Mothwing knew and was nervous beforehand that Misty Star would suddenly find out that she didn't believe in StarClan, and she wouldn't feel that way if she didn't conceptualize StarClan in the first place. She would be shocked. She would be asking, how did she find out, or how did she know? She would be constantly asking Leafpool how she's predicting the future. She would be concerned, because if she didn't think something existed, she would want to know how all these things are happening. Even before the Great Battle, when Jayfeather is telling her about the Dark Forest and how even Hawkfrost is involved, she's a little confused, But she's immediately ready to help, and she's immediately ready to toss her brother aside because her loyalty, she says, is to her clanmates, not dead cats in the sky. So with all this in mind, it's fair to say Mothwing knows StarClan exists. She just does not believe in them. To believe in something, especially anything spiritual, is usually attributed to 100% devotion and faith in that thing. But how many of us exist on that spectrum where we just sort of reject the specific things that we're told or the specific teachings that we're told because they go against our morals? There are a lot of open Christians in churches that will reject the sexism, homophobia, or hate that past churches or other Christians may teach. It contradicts our moral code to uphold feelings and desire of violence or hate on people who did nothing to warrant it. But that doesn't make those Christians any less Christian. There are agnostics who are on the atheism spectrum, like I mentioned, and they usually don't know where their faith lies. They think there may be spiritual beings, but they're also okay with the idea that there may not be. But if you ask them, they won't say there's nothing whatsoever. They may even take some things from different religions to hold on to themselves to keep themselves hopeful. It all depends. And I wouldn't say Mothwing is agnostic. She would definitely be closer to it, but I wouldn't say she's what everyone assumes to be an atheist either. Going back on my Mothwing and Cloudtail comparison, people tend to put them together just because they're atheists. But Mothwing's atheism stems from a loss of faith. Meanwhile, Cloudtail stems from a 100% lack of it. He has never believed in StarClan, and he has never had a reason to believe in StarClan. It's not his job, his family is fine, and he's comfortable in himself. Mothwing lost faith, not in herself, but of StarClan because of all that had happened prior. Mothwing has expressed anger and frustration and even sadness at the fact that the clans put their faith in StarClan when StarClan themselves they're kind of terrible. I know everyone kind of sees StarClan as this heaven and hell thing, but they're not really. StarClan has no one all-knowing leader. The one who comes closest to it is Rock, but he's not even involved with StarClan, and he considers himself someone who sees all, not really knows all. Not enough to really change anything or have control over anything, at least. StarClan is filled with cats who are just as indecisive and broken as the clans they try to protect and guide. And one day I'll want to talk about how I think the StarClan hierarchy works, but that's for some other time. StarClan cats act just the same as mortal cats outside the fact that they sometimes experience vague deja vu and go and tell the doctors that they saw a flash of the future. For situations they lose control over, they attribute it to destiny. And for situations they try to control, they tend to cause more harm than good by being directly involved with the clan sometimes. And Mothwing says this. They're just dead warriors. Do you think that when they die they get clever and brave? Don't you realize that some of them may be as foolish and wrong-headed as they were when they were alive? And can you blame Mothwing for not necessarily believing in StarClan? Her faith wasn't crushed because Hawkfrost faked that omen. Mothwing is good at her job. She knows she's good at it. It's what she wanted more than anything. And she kind of had to cope with the fact that the only reason she has it now is not because anyone believed in her skill and her talents as an individual, but because something as simple as a Mothwing from cats who weren't even involved in their living situation right now was enough for them to decide that maybe she deserved the job. She's frustrated because the clans have made it to where all of their cognitive decisions and any amount of free will they have in deciding the fate of their lives or the lives of others is usually in the hands of StarClan. The same StarClan who was actually very prepared not to give her a chance because she was a child of Tigerstar and a rogue. StarClan and the clans wanted nothing to do with her. But had it not been for Hawkfrost, not only would RiverClan have been without a medicine cat for a very long time, or maybe StarClan would have forced some poor kid to go in there, but she knows that if StarClan hadn't told them to pack their things and move, there's a good chance a lot of her clanmates would have sat in the forest ready to die and ready to face their destiny. It takes one look at Mothwing's wiki and her quotes to see that she doesn't really speak in terms of there isn't a StarClan, but mostly in terms of I don't need StarClan. I do believe there's a point early in New Prophecy where she was ready to toss the existence of StarClan away entirely, but that was kind of in the heat of her realizing what Hawkfrost had done. And every book After the new prophecy and onward, she kind of goes into this state of gradual acceptance. And what she tells Misty Star is the most telling about this. You have your beliefs, I have mine. The cats you see in your dreams guide and protect you in ways I have lived without. I'm skilled at healing and caring for my clanmates, and that has been enough to serve my clan. Mothwing simply just does not want StarClan to run her life, and I don't blame her. When Sasha left, it left Hawkfrost to feelings of rejection and abandonment. That's why he latched onto Tiger Star so much. But who's to say Mothwing didn't also experience feelings of rejection and abandonment as well? Then having to feel that from not only her clanmates, but StarClan as well. Imagine thinking that finally the clans are loving and accepting you for who you are, and even StarClan saw it in you, only to find out every ounce of it was a lie. Nothing about her clanmates' feelings was genuine acceptance. It was puppeteered. It was puppeteered when Hawkfrost did it, and it would still be puppeteered even if StarClan had left the Omen. So she latched onto this idea that she was all that she had and that she was all that she needed. Herself, her skills, and her need to be loyal to the clan and be a good cat to all her clanmates was all that she needed. She also latched onto the relationships she formed despite this. The cats who did accept and love her for everything that she was. Now, I want to take a minute to talk about the foil between how Hawkfrost form relationships and how Mothwing form relationships. Hawkfrost with Brambleclaw and Mothwing with Leafpool. Hawkfrost tried to force Brambleclaw into his method of coping. He latched onto this idea of family and power, saw it in Tigerstar, and tried to drag Brambleclaw down with him in desperation. Mothwing not only accepted Leafpool's beliefs, but expected and knew she would do the same. Even more so, she accepted Leafpool's faith in StarClan so much that she listens to Leafpool and her interpretations more than she did any of her clanmates, because she loves and trusts Leafpool to do that for her. Like, just imagine for a second Mothwing had an arc where she tried to coerce Leafpool into rejecting StarClan, insisting that she doesn't have to listen to those cats in the sky, and that it was just them two against the world and they had to fight it all out. It would have made for super cool writing, but my point is it would have been toxic, and that's just not the kind of person Mothwing is. She's not a type of character to be stubbornly ignorant and obsessive. She's comfortable in herself, her clan, her relationships, all without StarClan, even with the existence of StarClan. And you know what? That's absolutely okay. It's a powerful message, especially in this universe, in this scenario. And if I were to describe Mothwing's state of mind at the moment, I would honestly say she's a much more tame and controlled version of what Blue Star was feeling towards the end of the first series. Blue Star didn't stop thinking StarClan existed, she just stopped believing in them and their judgment, and kind of within reason considering her circumstance. She declared war with StarClan instead of just disassociating herself from StarClan. Mothwing is taking the more calm route. We as readers are not really given any reason to have an indisputable amount of faith in the power of StarClan. We're told to because the characters do, but we really don't have a reason to. In fact, we've seen them scared, confused, unsure, admit to mistakes and shortcomings, and all under their guidance. They aren't all powerful beings, yet the clans treat them as such. And if anything, I would honestly argue Mothwing is the smartest cat in the series in terms of the ability to self-actualize, which many of the characters in Warriors don't do. Most of the characters find themselves in situations where they're only content with themselves but not exactly happy or sure of their abilities. They're usually so unsure and so unconfident, they constantly seek StarClan for answers as they've been taught to do and end up sometimes worse than they were before. And it's honestly not easy to peg exactly what Mothwing would be religiously in a real-world context because we just now have an instance of a Mothwing type person existing in reality. There is no sure 100% fact of any religious or spiritual existence controlling our world to where someone outright denying or disregarding it would be totally ridiculous or without reason. In the real world, there's a reason why people don't have faith, lose faith, or change faith. There are a plethora of religions and spiritual teachings in the world that even the Warriors universe has this concept. The clans have StarClan, the tribe have the tribe of endless hunting, and we know cats like Jake and Barley who don't believe in StarClan are still able to live on the edge or visit from their own spiritual plane. it's not unusual for Mothwing to choose not to involve herself with StarClan, but just reject them as a reflection of who she is as a person and the medicine cat. She is an individualist. She believes in her strength, kindness, and capabilities without having to lean on anything. She respects her clanmates' faith because in her mind they can be hopeful and strong in something even in the worst possible situation. But she simply just does not need that for herself. I think some have said, she doesn't think StarClan exists because she doesn't want to think they exist, which is a similar and fair angle to take. But I seriously and wholly think she grasps the fact that StarClan is a thing, and I think people are scared to say that because a character who's an atheist and faithless can't see something and still not believe in it. But I mean, if she's seen little necessity or good come out of StarClan and has experienced way more trauma and stress because of them, would you want to keep heralding them as a all-powerful and all-knowing being when that's not really the case? And so I made this video just because I saw a lot of people calling Mothwing dumb, and I think that's just unfair to her and her character and the lessons that her character could teach. Just because something obviously exists doesn't mean you have to believe in it. Not everything has to be taken at face value, and for Mothwing to exist in a universe in a series where everything usually is pretty face value is really unique. It's unique for a character in this series, and I think people love her. I think Mothwing's a popular character, especially now. But I think this fandom as a collective all have this different perception of what kind of character Mothwing is and how she is. And I'm not saying I'm right because I've seen what the authors have said about Mothwing. They generally kind of push this idea that she just does not think they exist whatsoever. And I consider that. But there's a lot of things that the authors write that contradict themselves, and Mothwing's narrative as a character and all the things that she says kind of points to this idea that she is a character that stands out in terms of a belief system, and there's no way to really pinpoint the word for that because it's not really a word that can't exist, and I think that's pretty cool. Mothwing's atheism doesn't demand an explanation because she doesn't demand an explanation. She knows what she believes and she knows that she can operate with these beliefs. And I honestly think it's a disservice to discredit that just because it doesn't make sense to us and it doesn't make sense to the characters when she's telling it to us. She's given us the answers to her belief. She's told us what it is, and we can accept that. I think it's easy to understand that Mothwing does not believe in StarClan, and as far as any existing word for the definition goes, she's an atheist, and she's not dumb for having her own brand of atheism in a series where spiritual Passover and a spiritual existence is 100% surety. I never used to really consider it until Mothwing kind of blew up in popularity, but I think personally I kind of relate to her in this aspect, and I think her character in the series is important as an avenue for people to feel okay with and comfortable asking questions, asking what you do and don't believe in, asking if something is right or wrong, or if you need something or if you don't need something. And I think Mothwing as a character in this child series is a good entryway into that. And to get this and dismiss it as something illogical kind of closes the door from anyone just asking questions about the world we live in and how we choose to participate in it. And thanks for watching, everyone. This is my first time doing something like this. If it goes well, I'll probably do more in the future. Please take the time to go into my description and click on the links of all the artists and animators who were featured in this video. I couldn't have done it without them, and I'm ultra super grateful for all the amazing talent that I got to feature in this video. So go follow them, give them a favorite, go and compliment them. And while you're here, and if you like this video, please do leave a like and subscribe. Maybe I'll do more, and I hope to see you guys soon.